We got to go hard. We're over 40 and we're playing catch up at this point to try to get to become a millionaire. Guys, do you have a goal to become a millionaire? Maybe, maybe not. But what is your big money goal? Guys, let me know in the comments below what that goal is. Now, on this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to become a millionaire over the age of 40 or over the age of 35 or 45 or 50. Really, it's about how to take any 20-year span of life to become a net worth millionaire. Now, I'm going to walk you through a series of 6 steps, and I want you to pay close attention to number 6 because none of the stuff I talk about on this video is going to work if you don't do number 6 correctly. Now, what's the goal? $1 million in 20 years, especially for those of us who are over 35 or 40 years old. Now, that goal is specific. That goal is measurable and it's associated with time. And by the way, when I say $1 million, I'm saying $1 million adjusted for inflation. So let's go ahead and jump into the video. Now guys, the first thing you have to do, number 1, is you have to figure your net worth at least 3 times every year. You got to know where you are right now and you got to be able to measure your progress periodically, right? But don't start any of this plan until you first figure that net worth and commit to it at least 3 times a year. And I say that because what you focus on tends to expand. In your net worth statement that you do 3 times a year, make sure you focus on appreciating assets that should be increasing in value. And at the same time, focus on your debt or your liability side of the equation decreasing or leaving the net worth statement. And any decisions that don't line up with that, guys, you can't do, right? The whole point of the goal is to make sure that the things that you do and the habits and behaviors you have are going to be leading to accomplishing that goal. So this means you cannot buy the brand new cars and have payments on them. You can't even buy the used car and have payments on them. I mean, you can do both of those things, but it's just going to hold your progress up from getting to that $1 million net worth mark. But again, just remember, your assets got to grow, your debt and liabilities have to decrease and fall off ultimately off of that liability side of the net worth equation. Now, number 2 is this. I want you to invest only a tiny bit of money for the first 3 years of this 20-year plan. So that means if you have a job, go ahead and get the company match. And that's it. No more investing more until you do what I'm going to tell you to do in number 3. And if you don't have a company match or you don't have a job, then I suggest you invest 3 to 5% of whatever your money is every time you get it into a brokerage account. And that's because I at least want you to be participating in the stock market, just a little bit, 3 to 5% of your money, perhaps a Roth IRA, and perhaps be putting that money into a good, solid, total stock market index fund. But that's it, guys. No more than 3 to 5% of your money up front when you start this process. And that's because I want you to do what I'm going to tell you in number 3 during the first 3 years. So I want you to sort of clean up some things in the first 3 years of this whole process. But while you're cleaning up, still be investing 3 to 5% of your money towards the stock market. Let's go to number 3 so I can explain why I only want you putting 3 to 5% of your money towards the stock market for the first 3 years. Guys, if you get any value out of this video, do me a favor. Please smash that like button below. And also, share this video with your family, your friends, or your network of good people. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to my channel. Now, let's get back to the video. Number 3 is this. I want you to take out that 3 years up front to clean up any debt you have. And in this same step, I want you to build your emergency fund until it's fully funded. And that means an emergency fund of at least 3 months of your monthly expenses. So again, I suggest in step number 3 that you be paying off debt and building your emergency fund. Remember step 2 though. All the while you're doing step 3, I still want you to be putting 3 to 5% of your money towards the stock market. But you've got to be focused in number 3 to get out of debt as soon as possible and to save up 3 months of your monthly expenses as soon as you can, hopefully in the first 3 years. And please, guys, whatever you do during this process of trying to build up $1 million net worth after age 40, please make sure you commit to not taking on any new debt on anything that's going down in value. So to start this step, this number 3 step, where you're going to be focused on paying off debt and building your emergency fund, during this step, guys, I suggest you start with at least a couple of $1,000 set to the side in case something goes wrong. And after you get that $2,000 set to the side, then I want you to spend this time attacking the debt until you pay it off. And you can use the debt snowball method, whatever method you feel is comfortable. And then when the debt is paid off, then I want you to turn around and go ahead and fund that 3 months of your emergency savings. So if something goes wrong, you're covered. Now, if you already have a bunch of cash laying around, $20, $30, $40,000 of cash, emergency cash that you already have, then you can spend this step just making sure you get out of debt. Now, if you don't have any debt, then you can spend this step, go ahead and making sure you fully fund your 3 months of emergency savings. But if you have no debt and you already have your emergency money, you can skip this step altogether. The key to this step, guys, is don't spend any more than 3 years getting out of debt and fully funding your emergency fund. That means you gotta be super duper focused on getting it done. You gotta go hard, and I mean real hard, to get out of this step as soon as possible. Because what you're doing in this step, guys, is you're laying a strong foundation for the next steps. The strong foundation that says, you know what, if something goes wrong, it's covered. I don't have any debt. When you get to that point, guys, then the next 17 years of this 20-year journey is going to be easier. Now, you also may be saying about step 3 here, hey, this sounds a lot like Dave Ramsey's plan. Well, it may, but I think it differs a little bit because I want you still to invest 3 to 5% of your money in the stock market while you're actually getting out of debt. And I want you to have $2,000 for your emergencies in case something goes wrong up front, and then get out of debt, and then go ahead and fully fund your emergency fund. And the bigger point is this, guys, no matter whose plan it is, it just makes a lot of sense to build this strong foundation before you really dig into putting more and more money towards your investments. It's just common sense, logical steps. And ultimately, it's your plan. And really, that's all that matters. You can tailor it to whatever's good for you. Now, let's talk step 4. The reason I don't want you to spend no more than 3 years cleaning up your debt and building up your emergency fund is because the next 17 years, you're gonna spend investing in the stock market like crazy. And you're gonna spend that time buying a piece of real estate. So number 4 is, I want you to buy a piece of real estate, a home. And I want you to put that home on a 15-year mortgage. And I know, guys, some people hate the idea of a 15-year mortgage for a home. A lot of people will say, hey, put that on a 30-year note and make sure that you pay a little more on it each month. I'm telling you to commit yourself to a 15-year mortgage. Now, a lot of people will say, hey, you can get higher returns if you just invest that money in the stock market. And I totally understand the math, guys, right? But hey, guys, I'm a real estate guy. I own rental property. I think real estate is an awesome investment. And I like the notion of spreading your money around and not having all of your money in the stock market and having your money in a different mode of investment like real estate that has a long track record of going up in value. And it's a tangible asset that you can add to the asset side of your equation. I don't only want you to be in real estate. I don't only want you to be having your money invested in the stock market. I want you to be in both. Think about it like this, guys. If you're 40 years old and you buy a $300,000 home, in 15 years, when you're 55 years old, you'll have that home paid off. And that home at that point will probably be worth over $400,000. And I know it's hard, it's difficult, it's gonna be tough to make that payment on a 15-year note. I totally get it. But listen, we gotta go hard. We're over 40 and we're playing catch up at this point to try to get to become a millionaire. And I want you to also keep in mind number 6 that we'll talk about in just a moment. But let's go to number 5. Now, the 5th thing you gotta do is you have to invest in the stock market consistently. But more importantly than just investing in the stock market, you have to invest enough money in the stock market over a long stretch of time. So for the next 17 years or so, I suggest investing in index funds or ETFs. Now let me go into a little more detail. $1,500 a month is your target to be investing in the stock market. If you invest $1,500 per month, that ends up being $18,000 invested in the stock market per year. Guys, let's take a look at this simple compound interest calculator. Now, if your current principal is nothing, let's say it's 0, you currently don't have any money saved up or invested, right? And you're over 40 years old, and you put an annual addition of $18,000 in the stock market. Now, remember, $18,000 is $1,500 per month. And let's say that let's say the years to grow is 17 years, because you're taking the first 3 years, again, of this 20 years to clean up some debt and save for emergencies. So 17 more years to go. Now, if it grows at an annual interest rate of 7.03%, which happens to be the average 20-year return on the stock market adjusted for inflation, the future value of that, guys, when we hit the calculate button, is $595,748.94. So the numbers work out that if you invest $18,000 per year, you're going to end up with nearly $600,000. Not bad. So the kicker is this: you have to invest, but you have to invest enough into the stock market. And $1,500 a month or $18,000 a year will ultimately, probably in 17 years, get you right around $600,000. Now, I told you to stick around for number 6 because number 6 is the most important thing you got to do if you want to build wealth to $1 million after age 35 or age 40 or age 50. Now, number 6 is this, guys. You've got to increase your income. You have to figure a way to bring in more money because, hey, we're trying to get you to invest $1,500 a month, which is a whole lot of money. But in order to do that, most of you listening to me, you got to bring in additional income. And at the same time, you have to drastically lower your expenses. It basically means, guys, if you want to be a millionaire in 20 years after age 40, then guess what? You got to change your lifestyle drastically. And you've got to sacrifice some things. Now, I'm not saying you can't have fun and you can't do some of the things that you want to do with your money. Of course you can. But you've got to be super strategic and you got to bring in additional income to actually be investing during this whole time. And the way you can increase your income, guys, is look at developing your skills. Look at maybe taking on new skills. Maybe in that first 3 years when you're paying off debt and building up your emergency fund, maybe during that time, you should look at a career change or maybe starting a business so that you can ultimately have more money and make more money. Or for some of you, it may just be getting a second job so you have more income coming in to help you. Number 6 is the piece that really stops a lot of people from building wealth. A lot of people just aren't willing to make these lifestyle changes or to do these extra things in order to build up their income so they have more income. A lot of people, frankly, guys, just don't want to do that. But you've got to get that extra skill that's going to dramatically increase your income, right? You've got to make some hard decisions about life to get to this new plateau, guys, where you may want to go. Bringing in more income is the fuel that's going to make this whole machine run. That's why number 6 is so important, because you want to increase your income from $50,000 a year to $150,000 a year. It just makes it a whole lot simpler. So now, guys, after all these steps, you have a presence in the stock market that's nearly $600,000. And if you follow what I said, you have a paid for home that probably, if you bought it for $300,000, it's probably going to be worth $400,000 15 or 17 years later, and you never went back into debt for any reason. Then guess what, guys? You are a net worth millionaire at this point when you add in what you have invested in the stock market plus your paid for home. Your assets over $1 million. And a long time ago, you paid off your debt. And don't forget that little bit of money, that 3 to 5% of your salary that you were putting towards the stock market way back in the first 3 years of this 20-year plan. That money's grown too. And it adds to your $1 million that you have. That makes you a net worth millionaire. Now, guys, I gave you this scenario starting basically from zero. Now, many of you already have a $20,000 net worth or a $100,000 net worth or more already. So you can become a millionaire after the age of 40. Absolutely. You can do it. It's going to be hard, but hard doesn't mean anything. Everything in life we do, especially with money, has its difficulties. If you believe it and you're willing to put in the work and the sacrifices that it's going to take, then you can do it. Now, for some of you, it may mean working another 5 or 10 years to keep that steady income coming in so you could build up your net worth. I get it, because retiring later gives you additional time to earn and save more money. But the bottom line is this, guys, it can be done. Remember, this whole journey starts with you figuring your net worth right now. Now, if you want to know what the average net worth by age is and how you currently compare to others based on your age, you need to watch this video right here, right now. Peace.